Hello everybody, I'm Razorblade Mango, and I am here today to give my first impressions on Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which is, in my opinion, one of the more interesting PlayStation 4 exclusives this year. And as most of you know, this is from the guys behind Dear Esther and Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. And a lot of you guys know that this is uh, if you know the works of the Chinese Room, which are the developers, you know, based on Dear Esther, which is a very divisive game, that this was going to be something much more experimental than what you usually see from not only just PlayStation 4 exclusives, but from games in general. And I know people have tried to copy the term walking simulator in order to make cheap games and all that shit. But to me, at least from what I've played so far, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is a pretty interesting game. And I absolutely understand why. I mean, I've heard it's been getting positive reviews, but then I go look on, like the fan websites and fan sites, stuff like that, and it's been getting a pretty divisive response among the community, where a lot of them are going, this is a masterpiece. This is the most amazing blend of sound and imagery I've seen, and the atmosphere is amazing. And then you get the people that go, this is boring. What the hell is this? This is just a walking simulator. It's awful. No one should buy it. And I'm somewhere in the middle. I completely understand both sides. I especially understand the whole, this is boring. Why are people praising this? I don't get it. Because that's the way I felt about Dear Esther. Because to me, Dear Esther was just boring, and I could not get into it at all. I thought it was, to me, it just reeked of this developer smelling their own farts, trying to tell this quote unquote deep story by not really putting in much effort on their part to try to make it engaging and fun. Because that's the key thing to a lot of these games. And I've said in the past, jokingly, with games like The Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us and stuff, that these Telltale games, especially the more gruesome, violent ones, are not fun to sit through. It is taxing. It's emotionally stressful to get through. And, I jokingly say that they're not fun, but they are fun. There is that underlying element of fun to it, where you are interested and involved in what's going on. And I think to a more visual and subtle manner, there is that element of fun to Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Yes, the walking takes forever. I know, I've heard there's some kind of sprint button. I haven't gotten it to work yet. I don't know if they're gonna add something like that later on. And I think I swear to God, they keep saying, "Oh yeah, there's a run button. There, you just have to hold L2." Guys, I've been holding L2 for the past 2 minutes, and my speed has only gone from slowly walking to slightly faster walking. So you guys need to... I know the slow pace is a creative decision on your part, but there's, especially if you want to explore everything, there's quite a bit of backtracking in this. So they need to add some kind of... I don't even know what... Some kind of, not sprint button, but like what they do in The Walking Dead and like the choose your own adventure kind of stuff, where you can hold L2 or R2 and you'll move slightly faster. I mean, even then, the slightly faster movement in those games is much faster than the way you go and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which I understand is a design decision, because they want you to take in everything that you're seeing. They want you to take your time and look at all the very, very admittedly gorgeous scenery within the environments. But you guys got to speed this up just a little bit, especially for people that want to go off and explore every single thing in the game. Now, the reason I like it quite a bit actually. I'm starting to warm up to it more. Is how I actually do think the underlying narrative of this Rapture is interesting. And I know there's a lot of people that go, well, I couldn't connect to it emotionally. And that's understandable, because if you cannot get into the emotional aspect of this game, you're going to have a really hard time getting through the what I've heard is like a 5 to 6 hour game, which is not bad for something that's $20 and is a so-called walking simulator like this. Um, and man, what a pretty environment it is to walk around in, though. Admittedly, it's not the best as far as the technical aspects. I think artistically it looks incredible, but when you get up close, there's a lot of like, and the frame rate doesn't help either. The frame rate, I'm not. It doesn't drag so much as it. Like, you can tell there are noticeable dips in the PlayStation 4 trying to process all of this like amazing like photorealistic imagery. Uh, and the technical stuff, like I mentioned, is that when you get up close to certain things, a lot of the texture design is really just bland and ordinary. I think that was at the cost of, like, from a distance, trying to make everything look realistic. It just doesn't look quite as impressive up close. And I've had 2 hard crashes so far, which has been very frustrating. Thankfully, I saved, but it had it auto saved both times. Which, guys, you guys need to add you guys need to add a manual save. I don't want to be looking at the screen wondering when it's going to auto save, because the auto saves are really few and far between. So you guys need to add a manual save. You need to. You just have to in something like this, where a player doesn't want to keep going for another hour or just wants to stop and take a rest. When that's honestly what I recommend with this game. This is not a game that I have been, doing a marathon of. I don't think you can. I think you'll get bored of it, and I think I probably would get bored of it after a while too. And that's not to say that's any. I don't know whether that's a compliment or a complaint. Probably more of a complaint, because you really can't play it in one sit through. You kind of have to take it in as like a little bit at a time, kind of digest what you've seen, and then come back to it ready to learn more. Because that's what I think was the key to this game, is that I actually want to learn more about what's going on in this world. What happened to these people? And even though some of these people are complete fucking dickheads in this world, I've actually grown because they're portrayed so sympathetically and realistically that I've actually grown some sort of emotional attachment to not only the events that happen, but the world as well. And it helps that you have some really top-notch voice acting, and the writing is really good. Now, my favorite part of this game, hands down, is the soundtrack, which is probably the best soundtrack I've heard all year. And this has been in a year of really good soundtracks. I mean, you got like Bloodborne, which I thought was the soundtrack for that is phenomenal. Witcher 3, which is even better. Now this soundtrack is just, it takes my breath away constantly. It's so funny. I kid about how, like, oh, it's a walking simulator, but this music really sells you on how important and how sad and tragic a lot of this, what is happening. I mean, there was a scene where it's a key scene that's going to stick in my mind for a very long time, where I walked up to a car and the radio was kind of ringing in the car, and I hit it to listen, and it was this, I don't think it was a radio, it was a tape recording, and it was this doctor describing how the progression of his illness is going on. And then, like, halfway during it, I kind of couldn't even move. I just sat there with my jaw slightly open, just fully hypnotized by this doctor's monologue as about what's going on in his life. And all of a sudden, just the music swells up, and it really amplifies how tragic the whole situation is, and the way that the actor portrays the doctor's suffering, and the dialogue. It was like. And then even when the monologue stops, the music keeps on playing to emphasize it even more. to kind of guide you through how you feel after the monologue. And you don't see that a lot in games, especially these like a lot of like that in games. You don't the music sometimes doesn't keep going after you hear a certain point. It will just stop because it's finely tuned to that particular section. But no, it keeps going, and it further, like I said, emphasizes the emotions behind it. And I just couldn't move for a good minute and a half. I just sat there in my chair, just staring at the screen, frozen. Which is, it takes a lot to get me to do that, but I don't know how they did that with this game, but it worked. It was I'm pretty sure it was a combination of what the doctor was saying, how he was saying it, and how the music was playing behind it. It was just this amazing moment that I will never forget for as long as I live. Phenomenal, just phenomenal. So, which brings me down to the question: would I recommend Everybody's Gone to the Rapture to somebody? It's a little bit not too complex, but it's a little bit complex. If you're a fan of Dear Esther, if you're a fan of stuff like The Stanley Parable or Gone Home, a lot of these not high budget, but a lot of these more highly budgeted, I hate to use the term walking simulator, but that's kind of all I got, walking simulators, then yes, this will be worth it. I think it's one of the better ones I've played, probably the best one I've played so far. It's not great. It's not this like mind-blowing experience like I hoped it would be, but it's still quite damn good. It's still pretty good. But if you're among the people that are like making fun of it and don't really get anything from the gameplay that's been shown, then no. Absolutely not. You will be bored out of your fucking mind playing this thing. You will hate it. If you're somebody that needs to have an objective, if you need to go out and perform actions in video games, then this is not for you. Because even though it's labeled a video game, it's not really. It is not really a game. It's more interactive fiction. I know that's it's a pretentious term that's been thrown around, but that's all I can think of to give it more praise than just simply calling it a walking simulator. It is an interactive tragedy, an interactive drama / tragedy. So if you're into that kind of thing, then this absolutely is for you. But if you're not, then I would just recommend you watch it on YouTube. Or just listen to the soundtrack. There's the link to there's a soundtrack already is fully up on YouTube. And it's, like I said, it's the best soundtrack I've heard all year, and one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard for not only just games, but anything. It constantly just blows me away. So, yeah, I'm going to go back, keep going through it. If my opinion changes, I might come back and talk about it more. But if not, I guess consider this my definitive impressions on the game. So yeah, there you go. Thank you guys for coming. If you like what you see, subscribe. If you played it, if you have any interest in playing it, let me know what you think. Let me know how you've reacted to it so far. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.